What about client base? How important is a client base to go down a path like this? I mean, do you need a size? Like, I mean, obviously we can't have individual tax return payers here, but do we need to have sort of the larger size businesses that really take this by the horn and appreciate it more?
I think there's value in the smaller clients as well. And you need to be conscious of when you're building reports for clients of how big they are. And you also need to be conscious of how much value you can provide a client that is a smaller client. So, what data is in their zero file that is of value to them, all right? And therefore, how much can you charge a small client, all right? And then when you get into your bigger clients that are your, multi-entity consolidated groups, that's certainly where you're going to see more value on both sides of the equation. Clients are going to really appreciate it, all right, because they're able to do things that they've not been able to do before. Equally, they're going to be willing to pay for it.
Good question. I don't think so. I don't think there's a size limit. I think, to give a practical example to that, actually, we have had people who have had a dry cleaning service on this. So we're talking 5 or 6 employees, right? Not turning over massive amounts of dollars, but it's a tough space to be in, a dry cleaning service at the moment. There's not big dollars, margins are slim. We've got a lot of expensive equipment to pay to maintain, and there's less and less people engaging in dry cleaning and washing services, certainly in the regional area that this is in. However, they still need assistance. They still need to understand their numbers. They still need to understand how to drive their business model, how to make it, which target customers to target, which things to improve. And it's not about the size of the business or even the affordability of the service, that they can afford that because they need to, right? So if they're not making money and they need to make money, and you need this information to tell them how to make money, then it's kind of a necessary component here. Now, you could spend ages mucking about with Excel or exported reports and have to do this every month, or you could spend a little bit of time investing in setting up a recurring template, and then you don't have to do that additional work all the time. So it's really, Power BI is 2 things. One, it's a very cool thing to be able to drill down to the numbers and to get the information. And when you see something that looks a little bit odd, to be able to work out, well, tell us more about that oddity, so to speak. And it shows you in a really visual and quick and simple way. And that's part of the beauty of it. And it enables some really good conversations, but that Excel can't really do. You can, create a pretty pie graph, but that's about it.
Yeah, so we do a bit of I'll take a step back. We do a bit of a screening process before we'll take on a client. Generally now, from now, we do not take on a client unless they're quarterly with us. Everyone that goes quarterly with us, regardless of size, has to go on our Power BI system, our Tony reporting system. So everyone gets it pretty much.
Right.
There's no options. There's no options if you want to work for us. And to be fair, if you just want to come to us just to do your tax, we're not actually interested in your work, because we want to help businesses grow. And that's where Tony sits in behind. What it enables people to do, gives some data. I find accountants are very hard struggle at doing true business advisory. Now, just because you have for want of a better example, a spotlight report doesn't make you a business advisor. It's the information that you supply or advice you give on top of what comes out of that financial information. So if you can build some pretty good systems which help you find the information that the client needs, it makes you a better advisor naturally. And over time, you just get better at it.
Which circles back to your initial comment, just as well as a Tony. A Tony's just a tool.
Yep.
You're only as good as how well you use that tool.
Yep. And it's interesting, mate. Sometimes I can have a meeting, so we break our costings into different categories. And if all the margins are right at the high level, we actually don't even look at the detail. And we talk about strategy and other things. So it's almost like a bit of a checklist. Oh, the figures are great. Margins we expect. The wage percentage we expect. Okay, what's next? They don't go into the detail. I mean, you got to be careful as an accountant that you can go into too much detail.
Mm-hmm.
So but that's not as easy as it sounds to do all that type of stuff. And the reason being is obviously we use a Tony at the front end to control it, which part of or which employee gets what report, which is pretty important. You can PDF stuff. But the biggest thing is that We don't have to build out a lot of the integrations. It's all there. All we have to do is actually do the visualizations. And that saves a massive amount of time.
Yeah. I mean, so the centralization of the data in a database that you can just have feeding into the reports.
Well, it does make me smile, mate. When I go to your websites every so often, I see all these new programs that you integrate with, and half the ones I suggested, they can, like, we want to integrate this with Xero, and this into a tiny, like SimPro and doing exact harvest and different things. I just start smiling because my team can't do that. They can build the visualizations and do the Power BI from that point of view, link different fields, but they can't actually do the API stuff, if that makes sense. That's worth its weight in gold.
Sorry.
And look, I know what I want out of Power BI. I don't know how to do any of this stuff. I get amazed by it. I'm just like, again, I'm lucky I've got Jacinta and some other people that can do this type of stuff, but it's fantastic.